song, huh?
Yeah, boy. I'm trying to change it one time. People say,
Nah,
"We
nah,
don't,
nah.
we don't."
Stick the way
Yeah,
you
they say
go.
this is it. All right, let's get rolling. This. 6 minutes after the hour of 9 o'clock, 102.7 FM, Hump Day Wednesday. You know what time it is when I say it's a Wednesday, and the countdown is on. I had 27, but I was corrected. It's 25, to be exact. 25 days till the snap elections, Monday, August 19. I got that bounce?
If you don't count today and you don't count election day, yes, you're correct.
Okay.
And that's how we're looking at it, in the party, so that we can prepare properly.
Okay.
Today we are here already in this day, so yeah, you're right.
Okay, so it's 25.
Yes.
25. I was saying like, okay, wait a minute, we counting Sundays?
No,
yeah.
we
But
don't count today.
we counting today, we
The
counting
days,
Monday, the day of election.
that's election day.
So then it turns
So
out
it's
to 25 days.
25 days, 2 elections.
Yeah, okay. How's things been going? I mean, are you nervous? Because I know even though some of the candidates would say like, yeah, custom and this, but there's always a sense of nervousness to get because not every election is the same.
Let me do this first, Grace. Let me tell the public good morning.
Oh yes, your viewers also good morning.
I jumped
Good
into
morning.
answering.
You just went
but
right into
good
it.
morning to
Apologize
everyone,
for that.
and to you, naturally, Grace. Good morning. It's our Wednesday talk.
Mm-hmm.
It's seemingly a very popular talk now. People listen out to it. And indeed, as a politician, you cannot take anything for granted. Not because somebody is your friend or your family means they're going to support you. They have to believe in you. They have to trust that your decisions are going to be rational decisions, not emotional decisions. And look, we all have an emotional behavior sometimes that turn people off. And you got to be careful as an aspiring politician. I've been in the arena for approximately 30 years now. I started in 1994 when I joined the bandwagon of the DP. My wife then had an illustrious career from 1995 until she bowed out after the 2018 elections. That was her last election, and then I decided to run again in 2020, and the rest is history. Am I scared? No. I'm not scared of the elections. I'm not afraid of any opponent. I can debate anybody, any place, any topic. My knowledge is vast. My experience in government is vast. I read the papers every day. I listen to international news. I follow the Dutch news to understand what's happening with us in the European context a little bit. And I read up on anybody I'm going to debate. Again, storytelling is not part of my debate. I come factually, I prepare myself to have a discussion on the facts. Not about, I hear this one say that, or the school children. You know, when you do a podcast sometimes and you want to throw a political shot and you don't want to mention your source, very often you see the media people are also very careful. From a reliable source, we got something. I normally go to school children. I'll say the school children see.
Oh, like we say,
Yes,
right.
yes. And I do that intentionally because sometimes if you say where you got it from, that person becomes a target from whomever you spoke about. And that's not what it should actually be in life. Look, Grace, these are going to be snap elections. A snap election is just like a normal election. There are no special treatments that you're getting. No, it's an election. The reason we call it a snap is because the government never reached its term. It never fulfilled its term. So the government, a new election was called and the term snap came in because it wasn't the regular 4-year elections. So, but qua timing and everything, there was a little pushing and shoving with the Constitution, the 90 days, and then the 6 weeks for party registration, etc., etc. And we had 2 new parties that registered for this election, the OMC and the SAM. So they have a legal right to register, and there was a 6-week window, but everybody had registered in time, so they made the window a little smaller with consultation with all parties, and that went well. Nobody was excluded. So in that sense, that's what it is, and we have 25 days to, excluding today, to campaign and bring our message to the public of St. Martin and try to convince them to support you, your party's ideology. Because, sometimes they say, Bangkampa, I want to vote for you, but I don't like your party or I don't like this. And I always tell them, it isn't what you like, it is what you need. And very often we make that mistake. We vote for friends and family. We don't vote for knowledge and ability and experience. And you got to be careful, because very often you end up then with governments like we have today, where a lot of them are sitting in parliament and don't understand their role in parliament. And I'm not going to criticize them one for one, but we can see how it works in parliament. We can see what's really coming out of parliament right now. Not much other than a lot of whining. And this is where you got to be careful, because we're in a very critical situation at St. Martin right now. We're in a crisis, basically, on how do we move forward. And the crisis is not GB alone. Because we had an electricity crisis, we believe, oh, that's the onlyest problem we have. We have so many more problems. We have an issue with violence. We have an issue with poverty. We have an issue with alternative energy, green energy. We have an issue with housing, affordable housing. We have an issue with a lot of schools still not being repaired. All of these things are clustering on. And a little later, I'll touch it in GB when I speak of the way forward in GB. What I want for. I told them, we're going to play with diesel engines and we get burned. Today, the diesel went up by 14.2 cents per liter. 7.4% of the farmer price. People don't understand that this is going to reflect on your fuel clause,
I said it this
But
morning.
we're going to play this game, most probably we're going to hold back that bill till after elections. Just let the people. I think GB should come out and explain to people what's coming.
But that's what you said last week also.
And they're going to keep saying
because you said these machines, these engines
they're
are
diesel. They're all diesel.
It's going to cost us more.
And for the next 3 years, we're buying diesel. And then we want to go talk about LNG, diesel, and heavy fuel engines. No. Let's talk about green. Let's talk about solar panels, wind energy, waste energy. And if we don't do this, Grace, the crisis ain't going no place.
But how do you remain focused for, from what's trending, the hype on social media? How do you remain focused? You can't turn it off, though.
No, you can't turn it off, but you don't have to eat it up and sell it. It's not Kool-Aid. We shouldn't drink the Kool-Aid called social media. And that's why I think a day or two ago I put out a post. I said, if you want to be a real good person, help somebody in real life. Not on social media. Social media doesn't help them. Somebody hungry, don't send him a post. Give him a sandwich. This is what we need to understand in this country. That we can't govern on WhatsApp and social media. You gotta govern by touching the people outside and dealing with the problems. And that's why I said, Grace, I have a 35-year track record of doing civic work. Not $1 we are paid. We pay to be a member, to serve mankind. When you understand that service, then you will understand how you should govern. I see a few of my former colleagues join service organizations. And you can serve in many different organizations. You can serve at Salvation Army, you can serve in church, go to the, work with a group that goes out and sees what's happening in the community. Because when you do that, Grace, you're going to get a better comprehension of what's really living out there. And I want to touch poverty, in the discussion.
Our country, right? Let's talk
And,
about that.
yeah, because
of society.
it is something that a lot of people don't want to accept. We have imported poverty here over the years, and people say, I mean, you can't import no poverty. You import containers with food. You import cars. No, you import poverty. Because when you allow people to come here and live in substandard conditions, because they're sending their money back home, and it's their money, they're working for it. The problem is, when there is no work, because we are in an off-season and we run on a touristical agenda, those people are going to work for less money. And they're going to live in better conditions because they need to send home money to their families. That is a humanitarian factor that you have to work with. The problem is this, though. Maybe you have to be honest with yourself and say, listen, I give you a permit to come here and work for six months during the high season. And when there's a low season, you have to go back home. And that way, you're going to start curbing people cutting others down for jobs. And instead of taking minimum wage, they'll take a guilda less. So they can still work 2 jobs, and still be able to pay house rent here of $100, buy the water, buy the buckets and all those type of things, a plug-in, extension cord. That's a practice here. Let us not do as if it's not true. It's a practice. And you see people, you hear of children. Yes. They used to do that very often. Okay. And then you hear, because they have no running water in their house.
Right. Okay.
Nowadays, you can buy the big, the 5 liters for a few guilders. So, you do those things. But again,
I thought it was something you only saw during the hurricanes.
No. There's certain areas you can walk it and you'll still see.
And the water trucks goes out and supply.
No. They buy it from other people that have GB. And then they move. Because very often people build.
I mean, you're out there, so you should know.
I've been out there for 25 years with Public Works. I have seen, and when you speak of it, people watch you as if you're talking about someplace in a third world country. That third world country is here too sometimes. Because we don't pay attention. How many young children go to school in the morning and haven't had nothing to eat? And we running, when you see a country running breakfast programs in nearly every school, you need to ask yourself a fundamental question. What's wrong socially? What's wrong that these children don't have something to eat? Their first meal is at school. And if that school isn't given a breakfast program, pray to God that they have an afternoon school program where they will then get a first meal.
But the breakfast programs usually only last about 3 or 6 months. They're not through the entire year.
There are a few programs that go through the entire year because they have a good corporate sponsor, and that can work. So what happens in the summer when there is no school, or the Christmas break, or the October break? What happens then? Look, this is something we honestly got to understand, that you got to fight poverty, but giving them a breakfast program is an intermediate solution, because the solution is putting more money into the pockets of the parents. And how do you do that? Because I know we have a lot of dreamers this election. Elect me, and they're going to bring the minimum wage to 2,700 guilders, and they're going to bring pension to 12. Where you get the money from? Where are we printing? Because I don't know, no trees in Samaritan bearing money. It is utter nonsense. And this is what I have a problem with in this election. We are telling people stories.
Selling dreams.
Pie in the sky. That's what it is.
Pie in the sky.
It's pie in the sky. I saw, and I don't want to pick too much on one party, but they're putting things on their billboards to mislead the voter. I see them down Foga. Oh, we're going to build houses here. You can't. Because that land was already given to the Samaritan Housing Foundation. You can't take it from them. So if you didn't know that, go ask your MD. Because he nearly took that land from them to give it to the World Bank to go build homes for the people that were on the landfill. People seem to forget in St. Martin. But I don't forget, so I'm going to bring it out. Because an informed community will vote informed. You can't say I didn't know. This is my thing. How do you give people money in their pocket? We have to look for solutions that are plausible. I don't have all solutions. But cost of living is built up in a few ways. One of those is transportation. So Grace, why can't St. Martin come together? We got 500 bus drivers? Come together and say, okay, you know what, Nelson? We're going to have to start maybe with 20 buses this year, and next year another 30 or 50. And those will be electric buses. So we will create poles where you can charge. You swipe and you charge, like it happens all over the big cities. We can, we can put these in different, there are cars. We have a lot of cars in Samantha electric now. So why can't we do that? And slowly but surely turn the transportation. I'm not saying put a license. No. Instead of having a diesel bus or gasoline bus, you're going to go over to an electric bus that is run on solar. Now, what does that do for your electricity or your fuel charges? It drops it by what? 60%, maybe 70% compared to what you're paying at the pumps now. That means you can afford to maintain the rates you have now or even drop them a little bit because you will still make a decent living. It is called thinking out of the box. I don't have to wait till I get a solar panel pack to do this. I can create, I have enough roofs. I can create an electric bank by one of those buildings. That's where buses go and charge up that are electrical. We gotta think out of the box.
Why haven't the rates for buses been regulated over all these years? We're still paying $1, $1.50, $2, and that's where the gypsies come in, and it's offering a better rate because a lot of the buses don't run the routes that some of these gypsies are running.
There is a place in our society for gypsies because we don't have a regulated routing system.
Exactly.
This was called changing lanes. I know this story from 15 years ago where we were going to build a bus terminal where the Midas roundabout is today, or where the Kreuthof roundabout is. Down there we were going to build a terminal, a bus terminal in the days of Roy Malin.
Changing lanes.
Changing lanes is called. We were going to build a bus terminal here beside the RBC Bank. You see, we don't do nothing. We talk about it year in, year, just like the gaming board. Year in, year out, we talk blah, 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 and we do absolutely nothing about it. That's why the Now Party needs an all-out mandate. We need a mandate to be able to force through an agenda that this country needs. An agenda that has the country at heart and its people, and not necessarily we, the politicians. We get a good salary already, so we should be able to work for that salary and make something happen in this country, because poverty is a serious problem. You know how many vulnerable children, but families also, we have standalone mothers that have to work 2 jobs to make ends meet. What do you think happened to those children when she's working? They seek a family. And then we talk about gun violence and the youth, but we are fostering it. But we are not big enough to accept that we are fostering it. And then we want to go find all kind of solutions. But the solution is in front of you. Eradicate poverty. We have to understand that if we don't eradicate poverty, our problems will go no place. Now, we're not the only country that has poverty. But we don't need imported poverty. That is already a start to control where you're going to go and how you're going to go. You know, when you touch immigration, people go haywire because we are so intertwined with most of those people. But we got to regulate it. If we're not honest with ourselves about issues that are very serious in this country and have a detrimental impact on our social society, then we shouldn't cry foul and blame a politician for something that we are enhancing.
We're sending money. When I say we have the people who are actually sending money abroad to their families, but the money, these transactions are not being taxed. Is that correct?
I don't think so. I think they're being taxed. Once they go through certain things, yeah, is when you get couriers that you give them cash and they take it for you.
Right,
that's a different story.
Okay, but what about the money, the
No,
centers
I think they pay when you go to the post office and
right.
Yeah, you pay a fee.
Okay.
And that fee is subject to tax.
Okay.
It's subject to, because it's foreign currency.
There you go.
So
Okay.
it is subject to tax, and those people do report their tax. But you see, Grace, you have to look at it, ladies. We cannot stop poverty in the economics that we have today. Tourism is a great something, but it is an industry that offers minimum wage jobs. And we need to get away from minimum wage jobs to better paying jobs through a sustainable change in our economy. Now, one of those industries is construction. You saw the boom after 2017, how we imported people to build because we didn't have enough.
Okay.
So it means there's a need for that. We have NEPA. We used to have the LTS, MTS. Maybe we should refocus educationally. Do we want to put a program together for the next 4 or 5 years to enhance that? Just like how the university did it at a time for school teachers, and now NEPA is doing it for nurses because there's a need there. Maybe we have to look again and see, can we fill that need by educating our own people that are here looking for a job. And it means you give them a stipend when they're learning. So like how we give them scholarships to go to the States to learn and scholarships to go to Holland, we can give them a scholarship here. Your money is circulating in the economy. You see, we have to remember that again, at this point in time, we are not tackling poverty the right way. We believe if we give them a little social welfare and a little boss money, that it's okay. No, it's not, because we continuously, as government, in my opinion, are doing what what we blame the Dutch for. Keeping your people dependent. We're not making them independent. They're not financially independent. They depend on a handout. They depend on welfare. They depend on a sugar daddy paying the rent. No. Give them that opportunity to earn it themselves. I don't think people are lazy. We like to say, oh, Samaritan people lazy, look handled. I don't think so. And if we are 30% of the population. But over 55% on the minimum wage. So a lot of outsiders that ain't lazy still ain't getting a chance. And this is where we have to be more proactive. We have to look for a way to include construction as a new pillar. Agriculture as a new pillar. We speak of food sustainability, but we don't do nothing. There are a handful of farmers out there that are really struggling. You got Shola, you got Denisio, we got the Farmers Co-op. Saturday now, people, come out up LB Scott Road, a little promotion in between there. Sure, come out and support the local farmers. They're going to be there in the market once again. But you have Jocelyn, you have a few more people that farm, but far not enough to sustain this island. So it is a business, it is a venue that we have to dive into and use the latest technologies that are being offered to us to do something. You see, Grace, these are some of the ways that we can not only talk about taking people out of poverty, but more dealing with our people getting an honest opportunity. And I want to put a word honest. Not one of these pie in the sky fake things. No, an honest opportunity to make a good living and take themselves from where they find themselves now to a higher level. Everybody in St. Martin wants to own a home. Is it fair to say everybody will own a home? I don't think so. That would be misleading from my part, and I don't believe in lying, I don't believe in hypocrisy. But it doesn't mean that we don't have a lot of people that are well educated and just simply can't afford a home because it's too expensive. To build in St. Martin is very expensive because we don't have enough people building. To rent is very expensive because of the building cost. People are not going to build for $200,000 and rent it to you for $50. It ain't gonna happen. Don't fool yourself. Right. Rent committee or no rent committee, it ain't gonna happen because nobody can force you to rent it. So we gotta understand those dynamics. And then this brings me into a topic I know I told you I wanted to address: the contracts at NRPB.
Right, because last week you actually expressed your dismay about a contract that you read here live and shared in this program about a contract from the NRPB about some foreign workers that were hired to execute the construction work on St. Martin, whereby also we saw that local heavy equipment workers expressed their displeasure. And actually the director of the NRPB is questioning the authenticity or fact-checking these documents. What is your response in this? Because I was approached about it, and so the authenticity of these documents, you want to elaborate on that?
The director, my number is 520-1188. Call me. Let me authenticate them for you because I got them. But let me say this. If you, director, can agree to $22 million that the Chinese have now won so far, that you're going to give it to them? Yeah. Then we're going to authenticate here. Because this is the problem. This is the problem we have in St. Martin. Our own St. Martiners screwing us. And don't get nervous, nobody looking for you.
It was a $22
It is right now at 22 million that Zhang Yong #2 has won in bids.
And
They
how much
haven't
was
been
it last-
awarded to them yet.
How much was it last week?
We were talking about 14 million. They just get 8 million plus for Marie Roland School. Tell them that too, no?
How are you obtaining these documents?
That's not relevant right
Okay,
now.
okay.
That's not relevant.
Okay.
What is relevant is that it's happening.
Okay.
These documents are public, you know. This is a public tender. These are public tenders. Procurements are public. This is our money, not his, not the World Bank own. What we have to tell them is what's really happening now with the money. Because you won't tell me that no Samantha going to build Marie Laurent School, and I will tell you no, they can. But what's happening, Grace, and this is the important part. You know, if you take a contract from the World Bank and you fail, for 5 years you are excluded from ever tendering on behalf of the World Bank. Here you get a company, a Chinese company, that was formerly state-owned, and I believe it's still state-funded. That's my personal belief. Chinese, you gotta be careful how their money come. We all know how it works. If you don't believe me, go Suriname, go Panama, go Jamaica, go look what went down there. See who in control there. Because you see, we in Samaritan, all we do is yap, 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 and then things go wrong. Those countries have been overrumpled by the Chinese, and they control the construction market. You cannot compete with them. By the way, did the Chinese company ask for a piece of land? Because I hear they need land now to set up. I wonder if government got to turn over land now so that they can do it. You see, these are the things, these are the hidden little things that nobody talk about. I don't talk about it. I don't care. If I make enemies, are you okay with that?
Now we don't know about.
Samantha doesn't know about that.
Exactly. That's
You
what
know,
I'm
the
asking
problem
question.
I am having, honestly, with this thing, because, you know, I started to scratch my head and I said, what is really, really happening? Because if you look at this whole story now, you're realizing that locals, they put the procurement level so high that I believe in Samantha, with the roads and Lecom and maybe one other company might be able to compete. It is so high that most of them cannot compete. So the local contractors that build homes and so, that build big buildings, cannot compete. There are contractors here that can build a bigger school than Marie Laurent's, but they cannot qualify under the terms of procurement of the World Bank. They make it so difficult. They make it so expensive to participate in these things, because you got to really be in compliance with so many things, not locally, you know, internationally, because it's an international procurement. They set standards that are so high that very often they can't compete.
But,
Now,
go ahead.
now, the thing is this. Like I said, $22 million was already given. Oh, now, let me not use the word given. $22 million will be awarded to the Chinese company Zhengyang #2, because they were the lowest bidder in those works.
And that's confirmed.
They were the lowest bidders,
Okay.
and they qualified, which means they're going to get work. And there's still more to come. There's still more bids to come. So it can, the clock is only going to tick upwards, not downwards. But I want to
So
think.
what are some of the projects? You said Marie Laurent. So
That's the last one now. But before that, we had which one was it now? I spoke about it last week. I think it was trenching, and there was another one. I really can't remember them off the top of my head, because I've been
I think a
taking
sports center you talked
the
about.
the
Sorry.
NAP, the fire station. They have
Right.
to do works there. The gyms by the schools,
Gym.
and one of the works with GB laying cables. But the thing is this, I try to understand, is this company going to be able to live up to all these projects? Because if they fail, all they do is leave the country, you know. Well, we have no hold on them. They're going to buy everything in China. They're going to put it in containers, they're going to bring it here. They're going to bring all the workers here. They're going to set them up some, and that's why they need land. They need land to set up, because they can't set it up on the construction sites. Because they got so many projects now, they need land. They need a big piece of land. So most probably they're going to rent someplace or buy someplace. Yeah, they're going to do something.
Containers and
They're going to do
everything.
something. and then they're going to set up their own thing there. Look at in Cahill, look at the Finzo. Finzo set up a whole thing across the hospital, but you can't build a hospital yet. But okay, that's another story for another time.
No, I was going to come to that when you finish this one here.
Because remember, these companies bring nothing into the local economy. They're not going to input money because their people don't live here. They don't pay taxes here. They do nothing here. They're not going to go to no store and buy food. They're going to import their food. They are not going to buy nothing at the hardware stores. They're not going to have local experts checking the work. So you have a lot of groups, suppliers, contractors, regulators. All of these people are going to lose their position in the market because they're not making money. Because those that are winning these projects were supposed to supplement the economy. I keep speaking about construction being a footing in our economy. Well, thanks to the procurement of the World Bank, we are being kicked out of that.
But what about the Minister of VSA, who recently she's considering importing labor, 300 foreign workers for the completion of the St. Martin Medical Center. This is basically somewhat of a reoccurrence of what we experienced after the passing of Hurricane Irma, where we didn't have enough manpower to complete some projects. So what do you say to that now? She's talking about 300 foreign workers.
Again, like I said in the beginning, we lack capacity. 300, that's far-fetched. I think you're bringing people that you don't need. Don't tell me you don't have people who can bend steel. Don't tell me you don't have people that can lay bricks or blocks. Don't tell me you don't have people that can help rig concrete. The problem is they don't want to pay them the market price. They want to dive. You don't tell me they're going to bring in people for $20 an hour? Every Samaritan here would drop the work he's doing right now and go work there.
So you're talking cheap labor here.
Actually, it's cheap labor. They're not importing people that they're going to pay high, and most probably give them a chance, they can pay them in their own country.
Are they skilled workers?
Everybody is skilled when they reach here, seemingly. We have diamond cutters, we have everything that comes here, and when you look at them, you start to smile because they're in a store selling a radio. We got to be careful. We got to be careful with what we sell. And I'm not going to hammer the labor office. I'm not going to hammer them because they too work under a lot of pressure. When people start calling, I need this and I need that, and I want this and I want that. Look, the Now Party wants to create opportunities for its own people. I'm not interested in people from another country to come here and make a living and our own people are excluded. It can't work that way, and all I'm saying is our work ethics, our work standards are going to be thrown through the windows. You know why? Because people are getting accustomed to foreign workers coming here with foreign working standards and ethics. And then when we go to work, oh, you too damn lazy. Oh, you this. Oh, you that. Why? Because Chinese man want to work 12 hours a day and the local man want to work 8 hours a day. That's why we lazy? Because we want at least $10 an hour as a good mason, but you want to pay me $6? That's why we lazy?
How do you regulate it?
Shut the door. Shut the door. How long the hospital building already? 5 years, 6 years? So why we gotta import it now? Why last year we wasn't recruited? I thought they tell us we were going to have the hospital and all ground break-ins and I move it from here to here and I throw so much of concrete. But who threw that concrete? Ain't we people? So why we need 300 foreigners now to build our hospital? You see, we got to be honest with ourselves. What's happening, Grace, is they are overloading the market with work.
Oversaturated.
Yes. So our people, it is what the Dutch says, vraag en aanbod. We don't have people because they are scattered all over the place already building. I told you, it's one of the biggest booming economies is a construction economy. So what they do, they throw everything well planned on the market. Oh, but you ain't got enough people. So you gotta leave me bringing people because if I fall behind on my schedule, you gotta pay government because you blocking me. This is what's happening. This is what they're doing because we're allowing it to happen. We have somebody sitting on the World Bank in the steering committee. I, for the love of money, cannot understand that we are allowing 22 million to be granted to one company in such a small span of time. Because we know just as good as them, it can't happen. They gotta import so many people to do these works. You're excluding your own country. I don't understand that, because I don't think this was what the Dutch had in mind when they said, listen, I'm going to send $550 million of euros your way to reconstruct your country and re-energize your economy. This was not what they thought it would be. And the World Bank is using their own methodologies, and they're going to say, well, you sign on to it in Washington in 2018. So what you get now for? You told us you're willing to take this deal. Now you're bothering about the deal. It's not. Now we're telling you we're going to renegotiate, otherwise this deal will have to stop. Send back the money to Holland.
But the money was actually to help St. Martin.
It is, but it's going off island. Because if we're buying everything off island and not through the local suppliers who can make a little 10% or 15% on it, then how you want those local suppliers to continue employing and paying taxes?
But based on the 22 million that you're talking about, doesn't that 22 million include the material that they have to purchase from that 22 million?
Yeah, but they come from China. They come from here. Okay. Don't expect them to go down Koiman or Ace buy anything. They're not going to. They too signed the petition because they're too feeling it. They're too seen a lot of building going on, and they're excluded. And that can't be, because these people employ a lot of locals too.
Have you spoken to the heavy equipment workers or the owners, heavy equipment owners? Because last week I believe they published, they sent out a release, and then you actually reacted on that. But how far are they where this is concerned right
You know, Grace, sometimes it's best you don't say what your plans are, so they don't plan for you. But I will tell you this much. I know who they are. I know how they operate. There's so much patience a man and a woman has. You push him too far, he's going to push back. I'm not going to advocate violence, because I don't believe in violence.
Oh Lord, no, we have enough of that on social media already.
But understand, if you take away the bread that a man or woman needs to feed their family, they're going to get angry. And an angry man can become a dangerous man. We got to be careful with this, because we are promoting this. We, the government, is allowing this. My party is part of this government, but there are things happening now that I really question myself and say, why? Yes, it's for continuity. No, it's not continuity. You cannot continue keeping our people dependent. You cannot continue keeping our people in poverty. That's not governing. That's not governing. That's what we blamed the past government for as the worst government in our history. 4 years, and they really drove us down a few steps. We are really in a worse position than we were in 2020. Even after the hurricane, we were not in this type of position, where it is now so obvious that things are really, really getting out of hand. And I really have a serious problem. How are we going to get out of it?
You want to touch on the Dutch-American Treaty. Why is that?
Because, Grace, in my campaign, I speak to people. And it is now too often that I have heard, Mr. Van Kampen, what's happening in this country is not normal. And I said, well, I'm in the timeshare business. And I sit here and I see Americans walk in. They don't pay no tax, and they take my job. I said, I mean they don't pay no tax. He said, they don't pay tax. So this morning, I want to make a call on the tax department. You don't have to go raid lock up people, but you got to call in the people and ask them who work in there. And when you get a list of who's working there, cross-reference it with your database on who pays tax. And if you don't trust the list, you can show me it and I'll tell you who working and who ain't working. Send the labor down there. Send the labor inspectors there to check.
Right.
And don't worry about, oh my God, they're destroying the industry because they walked in here and they held on to people. Yeah, we can hold on to you. Just like how we hold on to the Dominican, the Haitian, and all them. Not because the Dutch-American Treaty states that you can come here, you register and you don't need a work permit means you don't pay taxes and premiums. You must pay it here. You're working here, you're earning it here. Our law says you must pay it here. And if you don't comply, and your bosses are facilitating this, then we're going to deal with all you. Because that's how you create poverty. That's how you create racial tension. Because you're putting a group above another group. I saw an ad where it said Americans only to apply to do, this boating, not boating thing, these surfboards that come above the water, the electrical surfboards.
Oh yeah, okay.
They're opening a new water sports, and you must be an American to apply alone.
For the job.
Nobody else can apply. So you gonna come tell me in my country in Samaritan, no Samaritan can apply, only an American? So the question is this, Grace. Can I go to America? Can I go to Miami? Tell them when I reach my immigration, listen, I'm going to hang around here in this 3 months nonsense. I hanging around here because of the Dutch-American treaty. I am going to set up shop. I am going to work. Man, they drop shekels on me right there with the immigration and tell me, partner, the next flight you going back home. Because we don't know nothing about your treaty. We know you're a foreigner, you use an ESTA, you got 3 months, and after that you're going back home. But over here, life in London. So I'm asking, how do you fix this? Because that's the question, how do you fix it? This is not a quick fix. We need an organization, a group of us that understand what's happening. Because we got to get on a plane and go to Holland. This is foreign affairs. We don't handle that. And it's a treaty that was signed back in 54, 56. That time it was the Netherlands Antilles. But St. Martin, now the autonomous country, because the Netherlands Antilles don't exist no more, that treaty is now affecting our local people in the timeshare industry. And I'm saying it needs to be looked at and adjusted. It cannot be so that we are foreigners in our own country and we can't get jobs and we are being pushed aside. It ain't good.
Someone posed this sent me this question yesterday. I had the former MP of the UB party here in the program yesterday, Rolando Bryson, but I'm seeing this question, and while we're on this topic, this will fit me perfectly. The question is, why are the Airbnb not paying a night tax? The villas are charging 9% tax, and how much does government get if they have no registered Airbnb unit info?
I know in the past, Airbnb offered government an agreement. I think it's 5%. They were saying was the hotel room tax was 5%, something like that. That they would have to, they would charge them because remember Airbnb, VRBO, all of them, they sell the Airbnbs on the island. They sell the rooms that you can rent on the island to their clients. So they have the information. The problem was St. Martin wanted name and address and all kind of things, and they said, we ain't getting into that business with you.
Yeah, that's correct.
We're going to give you the money. You want the money? We're going to send it to you. I don't think they signed the agreement. I don't, maybe they signed it just before they left. I don't know. But if the former MP can say that they charging 9% and he wondering if government get money, but he was in government. So if he don't know, if government, and he was the leader of the UP party, he was the leader in the coalition, if he doesn't know what we were getting, God help us. God help us, because we ain't getting nothing. And there's enough money, because there are a lot of Airbnbs in St. Martin, because they give even the hotels competition. When you realize the hotels stay over rates are lower, that means Airbnb is high because there's still a lot of people landing at Juliana Airport. Those numbers didn't go down.
Yeah, but Bunks is not only here. It's happening in Aruba and Curacao.
It's happening all over. But in Aruba, not Aruba, Curacao, I know the tax office said, listen, I give all of you a chance now to come and register. Register in the 1 bedroom or the 2 bedroom you have in your house. If you don't do so, we're going to do a campaign. And somebody can do that too. All we do is we go on Airbnb and we put on St. Martin. And we're going to start to see, and we're going to register to go stay there. You register for one night, cost you $19. But you know what?
That's the person.
I got your address. And when I got your address, I'm coming for you. And don't tell me you didn't do it. That's why I put another warning. Register your business because it's income. And our law says any income you make, you got to pay tax on. So if you're making an income, then pay for it. There's nothing wrong with that. Why? Listen, every business should pay their fair share. If everybody pays their fair share, we good to go. This is not an apartment you're renting as a senior, so because that's why we are saying give seniors a break. Don't charge them up to 5,000 guilders. Whatever income, set the plateau at 5,000 guilders. People above 65 years will not be taxed for anything below 60,000 guilders a year. That's 12 times 5,000. So anything below 60,000, I ain't even talking to you.
Okay.
If you are earning above 60,000, let's talk.
Let's talk.
And then I start with, oh, you earned 10,000 guilders. If you made 70,000, I will tax you at 10,000 guilders on the scale, not at 70,000.
Not higher.
No, normally they'll say, oh, 70,000, so I'll tax you there. No, I'll tax you for 10,000 because I'll start you from zero. The first 60,000 is out. This is what the now wants to do. Look, if you're earning 150,000 guilders, you're going to have to pay tax. Let's be honest. But pension is clear. If your pension is 150,000 guilders, God bless you, you had a hell of a job, you paid a lot of taxes. No, it means you paid a lot of
That's
taxes.
true, right.
So anything below, because we saying first pension is free. And then the second step is up to 5,000 is a platform that you don't touch them. So at least a pensioner can have up to 5,000 guilders without being taxed. And if it's the first pension, it can be much higher. That's what we are promoting. That would have costed the government about 3 million guilders. And I'm saying, if that was too much to do for these people, but you can sign off 50 years at 3 million to give a company that doesn't belong to St. Martin that money, then something wrong with people. Then something wrong with its farmer government. Because they refuse to help the seniors. And they go come and give you all Nancy stories. Ask them why you didn't cut the tax. Oh, because, no, the law can be changed. So look how you change the law. And taxes 25% of our salary and the civil servants 12.5%. So stop lying to the people. Just tell them, I didn't want to do it. I wanted a good balanced budget. I wanted to show that we make a lot of money. Well, guess what? Country bankrupt, right? That's what the Prime Minister said. That's what the Minister of Finance is saying now.
First thing he said when he went into office.
I mean, I listened to the candidate number 2 on the up. I hear him give his side of the story on Enya. And you know when something catches you, start to look on both sides. Wait, what was said here? And who said it?
What was
Former Minister of the National Alliance. He said that the deal that was signed with Enya is an illegal deal. For the mere fact, Parliament never approved it. And the meeting last week that we needed to hear if they're going to approve it or not was cancelled.
Curacao went to Parliament, discussed it, because when it was brought to them, they refused.
Yeah.
Remember, Curacao was like, no, we don't want no part of this. Took it to Parliament, and then they eventually came to a decision. Okay, fine. We just put the cart before the horse. We signed, and then now wants to go to Parliament.
Because we have a set of cowards in government. They collapse under pressure. And, when we look at the budget, 2024, a few parliamentarians said, absolutely not. Christopher, our leader, was one of them. He said, I am not approving this. I think Ludwig Weaver and Melissa Glums also said, we ain't doing this because this budget ain't no good. Look at what we find ourselves in today.
President of the Parliament also said she wasn't approving.
30 million guilders we cut in. We are cutting from teachers right now. We are cutting from the police, the justice workers. Thank you, NA up. Thank you. Tell the people you screw them. You made a mockery out of our democracy. You forced our budget knowing it was no good. But you had to get it done for elections. Well, guess what? Crapper gonna smoky pipe this election because everybody knows the truth now. You all a bunch of fraudsters. That's what you all are. You lied blatantly to the people of St. Martin. You told them, don't worry, your vacation, your cola, don't worry. All the LBs are being signed and we're going to get you your money. But now we're cutting it. Now we are forced to cut the budget by 30 million guilders because all these pie in the sky taxes. We're near 13 million. Airport, we gonna collect this. Please, man. I told you all before. Please don't put a failed accountant to do your finances. You're bound to fail as country. And we have failed. We have failed badly to make sure we had money. That's why we're in poverty. That's why we are always dependent on others. We put out we hand and we begging for money because we're refusing to think out of the box and work for this country and make sacrifices because we all gonna have to make them. Every man, brother and sister gonna have to make sacrifices. But what you do is you protect the vulnerable groups when you make sacrifices. You protect the seniors. You protect the children. You protect the less fortunate, single mothers. Those groups you need to protect. You can't ask them to make sacrifices because they can't. At this point in time already they're going hungry.
They have nothing to sacrifice.
They're going hungry. So what are you going to give? You can't give no more. And this is what we don't understand. We have to make serious choices. I can remember the sinkhole, the famous sinkhole. I hear them there talking
And it
about
became a culvert.
it was always a culvert.
Okay.
Had they only asked. Had they only asked. When I told them what to do, so today we just throwing a little concrete net and solve. But we were making a big drama about how the hill goes slide. You know, when people want attention, man, go and look for it the right place. Don't come and fool the people of Samar. You know, we are so gullible that when you hear them say, eat crackers and all those type of things, we get upset. But you know why they tell it to us? Because we gullible. We gullible. We gonna go say, you know, let me go buy some crackers for true. Let me go buy some sardines for true because who call things bad? Well, I'll tell you, it ain't bad. It's horrible. But I'm gonna have to give you some news that maybe you don't want me to tell you. The Atlantic Basin is kicking up again.
Yes, I saw that this morning.
It means, according to the predictions of NOAA, that any place between July 21st and August 6th. July 21st to August 6th.
Right.
In that period, in that week, there can be a formation of a storm. And this has to do with how the upper winds and the troughs are moving. So they're giving us a week's notice.
Early warning.
It's a week's notice that it can form. Doesn't mean that it's there, you know, it can form in that week. There's a probability of 20 to 40%. It is a wake-up call. Get your medication in order. Clean up your yard. Get some extra water. Put something for your dogs and animals that you have. Get ready. Lord, don't wait until it reaches in there while it's scrambling. Supermarkets bulging over, busting. They got put. Do it now. Paydays in the next few days. Go and get some stuff. Get some batteries. Get some.
Start stocking up.
Get some crackers and tuna.
Sardines too.
Sardines expensive, bad.
But because it's healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, I just want to give you all a heads up. Watch this. It can happen. We are now starting to go into the August, September months. Those are the key months to really watch the weather because it's like this. Remember Irma? Irma came in Dublin is a 1, 2, and then overnight it became a 5 plus.
Powerful 5.
So we gotta remember, Mother Nature decides for herself. We can't tell her nothing, and she don't listen anyway. So do some good prayers and ask that this thing goes north and stays above us and doesn't trouble no islands. No island can handle a hurricane right now.
Especially St. Martin.
Our economy will not lend itself, and I don't believe personally that we can handle too much water because we don't have storm water pumps in place. The boys then work day and night to keep water management right now in place, and I want to applaud them for that. But a storm with a lot of water can become a problem for us. I mean, you saw how Friars Bay busted open on the French side.
Oh yeah.
These things happen because it opened on its own. It can't hold the water no more. And the same thing will happen with the fresh pond. But you know, when you have a storm to the south, it brings in the sea. And then the sea starts to come into your
So
pond.
that's what actually happened at Friars Bay. That how
It on its own it started
It
to
just
open.
started
Yeah.
opening
It
like that.
slowly but
Wow.
surely starts to. That's because there was a lot of water in the basin in the back of the pond. There was
okay,
a
so
lot.
that's what the water came down from the pond.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was dirty.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah. Before we wrap it up, Mr. Bon Camper, we didn't touch on something I saw that you wanted to talk about is the SCV and DMS issues and the National Health Insurance, which is I believe the DMS was placed on currently on hold.
Well, let me put it this way. The DMS, that is the director majority shareholder. Back in 2022, September to be specific, a policy was introduced where they said any new companies, the director, if the director is the shareholder and owns 50% or more, or he and his wife own 50% or more, or he and his child own 50% or more, or he and his cousin own 50% or more, because they go down to the third bloodline, you will not be insured medically. So if I open a welding shop and I employ 3 people, I will not be insured. So I must go and get a private insurance for me and my family. Now, a private insurance can run you to $1,000 easily a month, if depending on what you ask for. SFV is much less because it's a percentage of your salary. So your salary is 3,000 guilders, 4,000 guilders, and now you gotta go find $1,000 or let's say $500 even to pay for a medical insurance monthly. And I'm saying to myself, but hold on a minute. Are you discouraging me from starting a business? Is it the intention of SFV promoted by the former government that allowed this policy to come into life in September 2022? Are you telling me I should remain a dependent and go work for somebody? Because if I work for somebody, raise up to 10,000 guilders, I am medically insured by SFV. But if I make 4,000 or 5,000 or 6,000 in my business, I ain't get no insurance. This is ludicrousy. This is, yes, it is ludicrousy. Now, if there was a reason, because there's always a reason when you see a policy come into place, abuse most probably. Why are you punishing the population? Why are you not dealing with the problem? Because the hypocrisy in this ruling is, oh, but everybody who was there before can stay. The law don't change for them. It's only for all your new ones. But the new ones did not create the fraud. The new ones didn't create the problem. It's the old ones that did. But you're leaving them there. So they're getting, crime does pay them. Like the prosecutor said, crime don't pay. Crime does pay. Because SFV is allowing them to stay. And I'm saying, no, everybody should stay. We are talking about the national health insurance that is supposed to someday hopefully come. But what a health insurance will be then? Oh, you can't get it, you can't get it? Because how many taxi drivers and bus drivers were promised? Don't worry, man, here's the license, bap, bap, bap. Come the 1st of January, all I get the health insurance. But nobody gets the health insurance. Now remember, that problem exists for a while already, yeah? That entrepreneurs and all entrepreneurs, which is a bus driver, taxi driver, a vendor, somebody who does catering, all of them are not insured medically. So, if they're not insured and they look at billboards and say, entrepreneurial subsidy, is that subsidy to pay the health insurance? I'm going to ask the question because I don't understand if you have a population where we are trying to stand on our own feet and our own health provider is beating us down to the ground and telling us, but I'm insuring you and your family. This is ludicrousy. And to tell me, oh, we're going to put it on hold? No! Move it! It is nonsense. You know it, I know it. So why do it? You know, these are the type of things. This is discrimination to its highest degree. I hear the public prosecutor's office open their mouth and say, listen, this can't happen. I hear the judge open his mouth and say, this can't happen. And I'll tell you why I'm saying this.
So you're saying it's illegal?
It's illegal. It must be illegal. You can't come with a policy where you're selectively telling this one you can't get it. If there is an issue, then deal with the damn issue. I heard my leader talk today about land. Remember the judge said, nobody getting land anymore until there's a policy? And yes, the minister have prerogatives, but the minister doesn't have a free hand. And what they said with the land is, if it isn't going to be given across the board and everybody has an equal opportunity to get a piece of land, then you ain't giving out no land until you bring that policy. It's a path of good governance and transparency. So why isn't SFV telling us what caused this problem? Do we have to take it to a judge to find out? Remember, Buccaneers once took SFV to court because they wanted to give them a assessment for the on premiums for people that didn't pay for their the tips that were made.
It was the tips. It was
Correct,
the
the tips.
yeah.
And I'm saying, why are we not adjusting the law? These people earn less than minimum wage half the time. Because if you're paying somebody $600 as a base salary, that's less than minimum wage. But you say, no, it's being compensated with your tips. No, you pay me minimum wage. And the tips for that sector should be waived in the law. It is not taxable. You got to put it in because you ain't getting it now anyway. So why the hell are we creating a scenario that, oh, we can count ourselves rich? That's a way of alleviating poverty. So these people don't have to work 2 jobs. They can work one job because their tip pool is okay. Again, it's a very difficult because you have this 15% service charge. Where does that money go, etc. Regulate it. We got to stop talking about, oh, we're going to regulate it. And if we don't regulate it, we will continue this vicious cycle of keeping people dependent and in poverty. That's what we are doing.
Your closing thoughts on safer and security, on safety and security.
Yeah. Grace, is our country safe? Yes and no. There's a group of people that have opted to escalate violence through weapons. Business people feel very unsafe.
The general community, majority of the people
Yes.
feel that way.
You're going to start running people from going to restaurants at night, from going to the clubs at night, because violence is always just around the corner. The way we used to live isn't there anymore. But at the same time, you cannot tell business people, well, the police will fix it for you. They can't. They cannot fix it. You heard them on the floor of Parliament Friday gone. Money, money, money. I have no vehicles. I have no capacity. I don't have this. I don't have that. And you're telling the public though, don't worry, man. The boys and girls in blue are here. Maybe at some places, but not at all places. And this is the feeling of unsafe in certain places. They're going to say, but why you don't come down in my neighborhood and patrol all the time instead of only patrolling in the rich people neighborhood? What makes us different? And there is no difference. We are all equal under God's eye. And this is a problem with safety where maybe community police should be looked at, etc., and see what we can do. Maybe we light up the place more, because remember in the past they said, oh, we got enough lights. We put so many lights in the place. Where do we go from here? So these are the things that I really think when we are talking safety. I don't want to jump the gun. I want to make sure that the Minister of Justice and the police force and all those stakeholders do what they have to do, and we take it from there then.
Yeah. 25 days and counting.
25 days to election, Grace. I hope the people of St. Martin understand. We need to put people in there that have knowledge, people that have experience, people that have the ability to run this country, people that are willing to make the sacrifice to make the change, people that understand that we cannot continue doing the same thing we are doing right now, because that's our biggest problem. We believe that the same old will function. People have different needs. The young people have a different belief. We gotta change and understand them so we can work with them. Not that we rule them, because they are not willing to be ruled, but we can work with them if we really want to make a change.
All right. Any public gatherings from the Now Party?
We will start canvassing again. We are going to go in. I know this weekend we are supposed to be in one of the districts. It's going to be out there. We're going to be at a community center, so we'll do a lot of canvassing.
And when is the community center when?
I unfortunately don't have it on the top of my head.
I think it's Sunday.
No, Saturdays.
Saturday?
We do community centers on Saturdays. So we will canvass the area,
Okay.
and then we will end up at the community center. We have 4 of those planned for sure. I know the last one is St. Peter's. I don't know if the first one is Dutch Quarter. So this weekend we should be in Dutch Quarter. We will canvass the areas around it, and we will end up at the community center, and then From there, we talk to the people. You ask the questions, we will give you the answers, and we have a good conversation with each other, and we show you why we are worth your vote.
Why vote for the Now Party?
Why vote for the yes? We're going to explain that to you,
Okay.
and you can ask us any questions. There's no question we won't answer you.
Why vote for number 2?
Because number 2 has the ability, the knowledge, and the experience. Number 2 understands the needs of the people. Number 2 has been in the community for over 35 years, serving them free of charge. I think I bring to the table what a parliamentarian needs. This is not a minister election. This is a parliamentary election. And you need to elect people that can really govern this country and understand what this country needs. And to understand that, you got to be down there with them. You can't be living on a pedestal and believe that you understand what the people are going through.
All right. That's a wrap for the Breakfast Lounge this morning. And once again, I want to thank you so much. And this is every Wednesday you'll be hearing him here in the Breakfast Lounge. He's the number 2 candidate, also the deputy leader of the Now Party, Claudius Bun Camper, seeking re-election on August 19 in the upcoming snap elections. Once again, thank you so much for coming in. And of course, I want to also thank my listeners who are tuning in. Tomorrow morning, I'll be back here from 7 until 10. My guest in the Breakfast Lounge tomorrow will be PFP MP Ludmila De Weaver. She'll be joining me at 9 o'clock tomorrow. You all have a wonderful and a safe and enjoyable Wednesday. It's Hump Day today.
Take
and of
care.
course to your viewers also.
Thank you all very much for listening. And Grace, thank you for the opportunity.
Always a pleasure. And you're going to give me the count on those views, right? How much did we clock last week?
9.3 thousand.
Oh, man.
So 9,300 views, give and take.
See? Gotta come on the Breakfast Lounge, man.
It was an interesting one.
Gotta come on the Breakfast Lounge, man. Hey, if you